Look at me, I'm walking in the woods next to the body of water, which is now illegal. Or you get a $25,000 fine in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia for doing that because of science or more compliance. I think it's insane that we live in a country that will say that, and they're saying you can't go fishing because it might catch a fire. And now that people are pushing back, they're backtracking and says, well, if your boat capsizes, we're not going to come get you. Or if you broke your ankle, we're not going to come and get you. But they didn't start with that at all. Anyway, I just think it's crazy that at the same time as they're telling us to stay out of the woods because we're going to fine you 25 grand if you go in the woods, they're also changing the weather. Those clouds that don't look natural at all, no, those aren't. Don't pay attention to those. You're crazy if you question that. I mean, it's not like they've had, there's between 200 and 400 patents for solar radiation management technologies, according to ChatGPT anyways. And they've been experimenting with the weather since 1891, which is far longer than they've been telling us that the climate's changing. Anyway, don't pay attention to that. But what I really wanted to talk about is if we're really having climate change, which I believed thoroughly and like so much, I dedicated my career to fighting climate change nearly 2 decades ago. And now we're at I've literally gone bankrupt trying to stop climate change by teaching people how to be self-sufficient and energy efficient. And in the process of that, I realized that this whole system does not care about you about fighting climate change. It doesn't want you to be self-sufficient. It doesn't want you to be free. It wants the exact opposite of that. It wants you to be hooked on this system and dependent on it, which is why everything is built to fall apart, by the way. Which, I mean, imagine how much less damage to the environment and how much less destruction there would be if things were built to last. Wow, what a concept. But no, this system is all about slavery. It's all about control. It's all about dependence. Okay? And anybody who thinks that the people who created this system, who profit from this system, who benefit from perpetuating it, if you think that they want to create a better system where they use AI, which is what I wanted to talk about, to control us with central bank digital currencies, with a social credit system, where they model our behavior to predict what we're going to do. And the amount of extra electricity that's going to be needed, I tried asking Chatbot GPT about this, and it wouldn't answer the question. I had to ask Grok. And Grok says right now in the United States alone, data centers account for 4.4% of total electricity usage, and about 15% of that is for AI. But they want to increase the amount of power or data centers and AI by 165% by 2030. And the number of power stations that they need to do this, it's between, if I recall correctly, about 66 to 90 gigawatts of power. And the average power plant can produce between half a gigawatt and 1 gigawatt of power. So the estimate that Grok came up with was between 115 and 130 new power plants are required for all the AI that they want by 2030 so that they can mostly control us with. So, and the funny part is if climate change is such a threat, which I mean, I used to completely believe, why would you build all of these new power stations, most of which are going to be using natural gas, because natural gas power stations are, you can build 5 times as many of those, 5 to 10 times as much power stations burning natural gas as you can with nuclear for the cost. It's way cheaper to burn natural gas to produce electricity, reliable baseload electricity, which is what you need if you want to run these sophisticated computers, because renewables can't do it full time. But it's also way faster. It's about 2 to 3 times as long to build a nuclear power plant as it is to build a natural gas power plant. or renewables take even longer to produce that much power and that type of transmission. So if they really cared about climate change, the psychopaths who run this world into the ground, if they really cared about climate change, what they would do is we wouldn't be building AI to surveil and capture everything. They wouldn't be trying to get rid of the money system where we'll own nothing and be happy. That would not be a thing if climate change was the threat that they are telling us it is. I'm going to talk about more about this in future videos because I've done enough research to see through some of this, at least some of it. I mean, it's unbelievable what we've been told, and the solutions they're presenting are not actual solutions. We have had the technology for decades to meet all human needs without destroying the planet, and yet things are getting harder and harder and harder for people. And that is something that everybody needs to think about. If you're buying into these narratives that tell you to stay out of nature and tell you that you shouldn't be allowed to go into nature to regenerate yourself, to feel good, to rebalance yourself, to feel alive. You don't feel alive when you're cooped up in your little house with your TV and your fear from the media. They want to keep us in a fear state. They want to keep us divided. And that's how we've been controlled for centuries. And they're ramping it up now because they're losing power. And what we need to do, please, law enforcement, if you're watching this, when are you going to start arresting real criminals? Because seriously, the people who've seen through the BS have been speaking out, and we're being censored. We're being ridiculed. People who have done good things like set people free, we're your brothers and sisters, okay? The psychopathic elites who run this world into the ground, they don't care about you, they don't care about me, they don't care about anybody except themselves. And quite frankly, they've poisoned the majority of the population with medical experiments that should have never been forced on anybody. And whether you believe that or not, at this point, if you're going to start seeing more and more people dying of cancer and of blood clotting and all kinds of things, and that makes me very sad and very upset. But the people who did this to us, they need to be held accountable. And I'm going to end it because it's 7.5 minutes. I love you, and I want the best for you and this world. And to do that, we have to have free speech. We have to have the ability to reconnect with ourselves and with nature. And by the way, if they can make it, they can make it rain. They can make it rain. China's even made drones where they can direct clouds using sound waves. Like, think about that. There's all kinds of technologies that can do this, but instead they're making us slaves, and they're making things worse for us, and we have to put an end to it. Please share this and talk about these points, because enough is enough. Love you. Bye.